Today in Breaking Bitcoin, we take a look at the indicator that called the last Bitcoin bottom. Miner capitulation threatens to send Bitcoin's price down to 4,500, backed, now has competition in the state of New York in the realm of Bitcoin custody. The Federal Reserve researches cryptocurrency, and we ask the question, just how much Bitcoin has been lost forever? Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin, recorded live here in the Breaking Bitcoin studio. Today is Wednesday, November 20th, 2019, foul year of our Lord. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic wherever you happen to be tuning in from, and whether you are watching us from across YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook Live, or on Roku with the Investor News Channel app. If you want to support the show, make sure to subscribe to the channel or give us a follow on whatever platform you happen to be watching and engage in that live chat, guys. Happy to answer your questions. Happy to take your comments. We've got a great show for you guys today. As I talked about, we're going to talk about so much stuff today, as well as Bitcoin's price overall. Intraday price volatility is actually quite exciting, so we're going to break that down as well. Still in my active position. You can't see it on the chart behind me. Before we get into the daily scuttlebutt, if you guys are new to the stream and you've been watching for a while and you would like to trade with our team, but you have been on the fence, perhaps funds are tight or you're trying to hodl out for the deal, then the end of the month might be what you're waiting for. We are going to have our Black Friday only comes once a year, but we will be having our Black Friday sale. Stay tuned for a few more details on that. Pretty excited about that. Pretty excited because I've talked to a lot of people about that. A lot of individuals hodling out for the deal. So that's totally cool. I respect the frugality as a frugal person myself. So stay tuned for the end of the month on that. As far as updates here at Kraken Cryptocurrency, website and Discord integration is carrying on full steam. Very soon, as I said yesterday, our sign up process is going to be much more streamlined. There's going to be a lot more access, and then that'll allow me to focus on taking all of our course material and putting them on our online learning academy that we will have on our website for our members. Very, very, very excited about that. Having a much more streamlined process to educate the traders in the process. Because we've been doing this for almost 3 years now. And we've developed quite an efficient system and routine for how to take traders in, regardless of what they know about the market, and educate them in how to build their own technical strategy. So I'm very excited to streamline that process and just provide more resources and allow my team and myself to understand exactly where and what students are struggling so that we know when to step in and help them out. Our new Crypto Currently Interviews and Insights video with Cap from Project Particle is up. Make sure you guys go check that out after this video if you have not already, and the ByBit tutorial. We will not be here Friday or Monday. So Friday this week and the preceding Monday, I am going to be traveling. We will be uploading the crypto tag video on this Friday. So we'll be talking about how to keep your Bitcoins secure forever, as well as the Breaking Bitcoin Bits which will be coming out on schedule to have been released. They're coming out 6 p.m. every single evening, which are highlights from our previous show. So if you don't have time to sit down and watch the whole 2-hour show, you guys can grab the Breaking Bitcoin Bits that corresponds to exactly what you're interested in, whether that be news, whether that be technical strategy, or whether that be what's going on here at Kraken Cryptocurrency. Let's see here. And of course, the ByBit Brawl, guys. The Bitcoin Brawl is not live yet, but registration is still open. Now, if you guys have not signed up yet already, by the way, we're already in the top 24 registrants, so I'm really, really excited about that. You guys can head over to bybitbrawl.krakencryptocurrency.com to register for our team. Join us with a chance to win up to 100 BTC prize pool. Really, really, really excited this year. We did really good in the EOS competition. We did a previous BTC competition as well. So I'm looking forward to engaging with everybody, trading with everybody, and just, letting people throw down. Make sure you guys go check out Crypto Bubbles video if you have not already. We did retweet it on our Twitter. And overall, just really, really excited about that. If you guys sign up now, the $50 extra bonus that's gone. You missed that if you didn't sign up for the yesterday or the day before. But if you guys go register today, if you're registering a new account, you can get up to $90 in bonuses for registering for the event. You get the welcome bonus, you get the $10 bonus plus the $50 plus an extra $30. I think it's from today and over the next 3 days for registering for the event. So you guys can still do that. You can do that at bybit.krakencryptocurrency.com. All right, let's get right into it, guys. We've got a lot to talk about. As always, I want to thank this month's crypto comment giveaway sponsor, Spectre Security Coin. Make sure to go check them out at spectresecurity.io. And actually, they're having a big giveaway on Twitter. If you guys want to go check that out, follow them. Just search for Spectre Security or Spectre Coin on the Twitter, and you guys can participate in their giveaway or hop in their Discord, which is linked in our Discord, discord.krakencryptocurrency.com. Let's do it. Let's go give away some crypto and have a heck of a day, guys. All right, so here we are at the YouTube random comment picker. As we do, we're just going to snag a random commenter from yesterday's video, and that is going to be Alindia Gyan. Bitcoin is killed. What a joke. Yes, hopefully if you watched that segment, you understood the, I guess, satire of that. And well, you know, honestly, it was a good thought experiment. It was a good thought experiment is where we ended up. But Alindia, please get a hold of me in the Discord, and I will gladly tip you some crypto, my good friend. Moving right on into the live scene for today. And here we are at the daily. Here we are at the daily. Do you want to close that window? Okay. All right, cool. Doesn't bother me. Sorry, we got some live help in the studio today, which I'm very, very grateful for. All right, so let's before we hop into the price action, let's do our traditional daily roll call, guys. We got our traditional daily roll call as we do. Make sure all the good people are in the crib. It's hard. Leo Money, GBU Professor Wally. He says, "Pamp it, sup fool." You know what that means. Ron Legato saying ByBit is loaded and ready to rock. All right, good times. Cape Town Brown, Minister C Politics. Michael Naranjo, Wendy. We've got Ferguson. We've got Mastash. We've got Mr. Crypto Jack, MT Coiner. Robin from the Hood over on D Live. What's going on, my D Livers? GBU Wally broke the like button from hitting it too hard. JJ Beach Bum. We got Saintsy. GBU Wally coming through with the hardcore $10. What's going on, my friend? He says, watch that BTC Pamp. Can't wait for Justin's analysis and commentary. Learn, earn, and don't get burned. Spoon Power 23 and Caprica, good to see you guys as well. Let's not waste any time. Let's hop right in. All right, so as we can see, open trade. Let's actually take a gander here and see. Yes, we did just hit take profit one, guys. Take profit one was hit, so make sure to move that stop loss up to break even if you guys are in the group. Very nice to sit patiently. As I said yesterday, saw buying strength come in. Let's actually start on the daily and kind of maneuver our way down. Now, before individuals start to get very, very, very excited about taking long-term positional longs from this area, I just want to caution that the overall direction is bearish. And if you are a trend-following trader, this is not an area where you would be looking to establish a very long-term position. If you are playing this area, if you are looking to put on a long in this range, you are by nature counter trend trading the trend. You are not fading the trend, which is statistically the highest probability of success with these types of trade setups. You are counter trend trading the trend. And obviously, yes, we did counter trend trade the trend, but I made it very, very, very clear with my average entry of about 80.84 that I was only going for a take profit target of the $8,200 area. I was looking for a rise up to the top of the range, a rise, as you guys can see, hitting the very daily baseline. And as we can see, initially selling off. We'll see what the selling pressure looks like through the rest of the day. The high probability setup here would be, for me anyways, again, if you were trading in the direction of the trend, would be to fade this initial this initial test of resistance. Of course, exiting that position if we do get a meso time frame close above the daily baseline, for example, which you guys can do with the multi-time frame feature on the CC EMA script, which is publicly available at tv.crackingcryptocurrency.com. We don't have any trending daily long signals. We don't even have any daily reversal signals yet at this point in time. The only thing that is interesting here to point out as an element or as a reversal element here is going to be the level of supply potentially that we could discuss. But in all actuality, I think if we go over to let's go over to the Bitstamp chart so we can talk about some more long-term. Here's the Bitstamp chart right here. So here we are on the Bitstamp chart where I do have, in my opinion, the line is drawn. We don't have order blocks on here right now because we have not seen one stay established yet at this point in time. And the previous one that I was targeting, that I was looking at to see a reaction from, to see if we did see bullish demand step in, did not. That level was broken and invalidated. And again, that breaker was going to be right here for those of you following along at home. So let's just slap that horizontal line right where it belongs, right here. That level around 85.86. That now becomes a bearish breaker. Again, bearish breaker theory. Any movements up into that area are to be faded. And again, that's really, if we do end up getting a somewhat nice bullish movement out of this, that would be my top tier goal at this point in time. I would not be setting my sights on 9,000 or new all-time highs for the year, or even more significant tests of that previous range at 9,400. we're going to look at a new indicator today, and we're going to look at some new analysis here in just a little bit. But before we do that, I just want to keep it very simple, very technical, very easy to follow along for those members who are developing their own PTP strategies, and for individuals who are watching who are not in the course, who are looking on developing their own strategies based off the tips and tricks and the walkthroughs that they get on this channel as well. So anyways, starting first, below the daily baseline, Minx has not given us a crossover. Even if Minx were to cross over, which is a good reversal signal, Minx can be used as a reversal signal. That would be, at this point in time, a one confirmation trade if you were to take that. Meaning, if you were to take that reversal trade, you would be using extremely low risk because you only have one confirmation, and is not a valid long signal. But again, individuals are going to be trading their own way, and there are risk managed ways to set up discretionary trades using one confirmation, using two confirmations. We've talked about this concept many, many times on this channel, looking at 2 of 3 or 3 of 3 or 1 of 3. And all that means, because I get this question a lot, is when you build a technical indicator based system, right? When you build a system that tells you to go long or short, they can even be non-technical indicators, which again, I actually don't think that these are not technical indicators, but you could potentially be looking at things like open interest. You could be looking at long and short data. You could be looking at sentiment. You could be looking at mining difficulty or hash rate or different things like that. You could be looking at those. I still believe those are technical indicators. I don't really, people are going to call them, these are fundamental indicators. No, like they could be like, and that's just a matter of, semantics. We're arguing semantics. But again, it's technical data that you're deriving from a data set. So any data set that you're using to derive objective signals from, whatever that may be, you need to have rules, like you need to have confluence. So for example, if you are trading based off of momentum, you also need to be looking at volatility and or volume. If you were looking at momentum and volatility and or volume, it would help you to look at longer term directional trend. All of these things combine together to increase your hit rate, to increase your win rate, and increase the effectiveness of your signals, and reduce the amount of losers that you will end up taking, and increase your P&L over the course of the year. When you add in early exit strategies, when you add in risk management systems, when you add in position sizing, all of these things contribute to making your trading system more efficient over time and increase your bottom line, which is all we care about, which is at the end of the year, more dollars or more Bitcoin, depending on what margin you like to increase in your pocket. Now, zooming a little bit further down on the daily baseline, hopefully we've covered very clearly there that there is not a strong reversal signal indicated, not even from Minx. We do need to see price above 82.1047 to even contemplate at this point in time. That would actually potentially be a 2 confirmation trade. Volatility or volume would still not be agreeing with us there. As you can see, Wadatar Explosion flipped bullish right on this candle right here and kept us bullish, kept us from taking shorts in this area. And it wasn't until we got right around here that we were actually able to establish short positions, unless one was taking a lower risk 2 confirmation or 1 confirmation trade, which again, you got the first confirmation on this candle right here for a short trade. You got the second confirmation on this candle right here, and you got your full confirmation on this candle right here. Paralox also flipped bearish right here. So again, Paralox is a pretty good indicator. Its hit rate is quite impressive, not only in cryptocurrency, but across other asset classes as well, which is pretty unique. In crypto as well. As you guys can see, I've made some aesthetic changes to Paralox, just making it more easily readable, making it easier to trade for anybody. I'm going to be releasing this. My plan is to be releasing this before I leave on Friday for the beta testers, allow them a week to test this, and then I will be releasing this for the premium members the following weekend. Give them the weekend to kind of play with it. Hopefully I will have a strategy video for it done at that same time, but it's fairly simple. It is an objective signaling system. I will also begin releasing again, another thing that I'm working on in conjunction with the new PTP material, another thing that I'll be releasing as well is the thing that has been requested for a while, which is these comprehensive strategies. So these comprehensive indicators that you place on your chart, they do all the legwork for you. I don't really like the concept of taking people's volition away from them, taking people's ability to work. But again, it's something that I'm interested in building and developing, because at the very least, it can give individuals a baseline for, a foundation for how to build their own strategies. Like basically, if your strategy is not outperforming this indicator right here, you can go back to the, basically go back to the lab. You know what I'm saying? All right. Y Omega Lol, hey all in the car. Spoon Power 23 is asking everybody to hit the like. Aditya would like us to look at rep. All about, sup all my people. Spoon Powered says we got 62 people plus people and 50 likes. Yo, come on, hit the like button. Yassine, good to see you. Thank you so much, Spoon Power 23. Boost that YouTube algorithm up. What is a rep USD anyways? Counter trend trade. Evening, Justin. Scrooge McDuck, good to see you, man. Wendy loves new indicators. Looks like we rejected off the 4-hour 21 exponential moving average. The 21 exponential moving average is a good component. A lot of strategies are going to utilize it. I know a lot of people that utilize the 21 EMA as their baseline. It is my tertiary baseline. We've talked about that before, that we can default to at times. Not as powerful as the 55 or the 13, in my personal opinion. It's not as responsive as the 13, and it's not as indicative of support and resistance or levels of pivot as the 55 exponential moving average. But 21, definitely not an EMA to ignore. Okay. So what am I still looking for on the larger scale here? Again, this consolidation is exactly kind of what I predicted. 2 days so far of low volatility sideways. A candle to the upside would actually not surprise me at this point in time. And there is some interesting components here if we do look at our baseline, as it is hugging price quite tightly. For example, you guys can see over here, the nice thing about this baseline, the way that it works and maneuvers, and again, anybody in the group can access this baseline, is you can see that, again, just this simple crossover cross-under strategy is actually pretty proficient. Now, there is drawdown in the strategy, and again, by pairing your other indicators with it, you can actually reduce a significant portion of that drawdown. So however you want to look at that, whether this is a good indicator all in of its own and we apply the others to smooth this strategy out, or this is a good indicator to add to a pre-existing strategy, I feel like we're talking about semantics there. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But again, the hit rate is quite impressive. Now, we have seen an initial sell-off of that intraday movement to the upside. Let's start getting down to the lower time frames. But before we do, on the daily, overall, what I am looking for here is we do have that VPR level down at 7,771. And something that I want to point out too, looking at some fundamental data, is let's look at open interest here. We can see that open interest is actually pretty strongly on the rise, to be quite honest with you, and price is moving sideways, or price has been moving sideways overall. So what does that reflect? It means we're entering into an interesting area of the market with Bitcoin, where we do get enhanced volatility, as I said, which we'll see when we go down to the lower time frames. The intraday volatility and even the volatility over the evening hours, even though it died down just a little bit, is actually really, really impressive. The battle between the bulls and the bears at this level is really something to watch. And again, there have been about 5 or 6 1 to 1.5% movements, not including the breakout movement that we just saw over the last 2 days. So a lot of opportunity here for reversion of the mean strategies on lower time frames. But again, you want to be a little cautious of that carrying forward. We continue to see altcoins perform kind of a mixed bag. I've reduced the majority of my risk, or by that I mean taken a lot of my winners on the altcoins, because they've come down after taking profit at a higher level. A lot of them have come down closer to my entry level, so I've ended up closing a lot of those out. I entered into a new position, one that's up about 3%. I entered into another position, one that's down about 3%. So overall, one was an alt BTC pair and one was an alt USDT pair. I'm waiting to get filled higher on a Z19 short. My Z19 shorts continue to do quite well. And we'll take a look at those in just a minute, as well as open P&L for the traders. The thing that I want to point out is when open interest is rising and price is moving sideways, you can see that we haven't actually seen a large amount of liquidations really so far. It kind of puts us into this interesting area where, again, shorts typically get squeezed and longs typically get squeezed. We get into a very trappy area of the market. So I'd be really cautious on taking breakout trades out of this range at this point in time. You really do want higher time frame confluence that you're actually seeing a movement. So, look at the 8-hour or the 12, maybe even the 4-hour. To reduce your risk of taking a false breakout movement at this point in time. As long as this range remains, again, typically reversion of the mean strategy is what's going to be your bread and butter in this area of the market. Again, just a simple Bollinger Band strategy, a simple ATR band strategy is going to do you quite well in market conditions like this. And then, again, you're referencing those higher time frames to give you that signal, and they're not going to give you the signal when you want it. You want the signal like as soon as price starts moving up. You want to buy as soon as price looks like it's going to break out. And just look into your heart. How many times have you done that? Like, you've seen Bitcoin ranging, you've wanted to take the breakout, you go all in with your, and I'm saying you go all in, but you go all in with your position size right at that breakout level, and it ends up like just, and coming right back down more often times than not. And that's because you're not actually waiting for all of your indicators on that higher time frame to give you the go ahead. And yes, it's going to take a day or two. Yes, you're going to enter 2 days later than the crypto bros that you saw on crypto Twitter that are saying, I bought the absolute bottom and I'm going to sell the absolute top. Those people are nonsense. Those people are garbage. They're not in your house. They're not helping you pay your bills. They're not helping you enter into your positions. That, again, just ignore most of that noise out there. Take the trade setups that your system tells you to take. And if you have to wait, then you wait, because the best thing is when you wait for a good trending signal, often that's a strong signal, which is going to give you a lot of opportunity to profit. Whether you're trading very similar to what I do, which is where I take a pre-positioned set of profit at a predetermined level and then let my position ride, or whether I'm taking three predetermined take profits, or you're trading somewhat differently, where you're doing something very similar to what Dr. Alexander references in his famous book, Day Trading for a Living. And he talks about using the higher time frames to establish directional bias, and then using the medium time frames to establish potential entries, and then going down to even the lower time frames to get that optimum razor sharp entry. And you're doing that continually over and over and over again. Whatever your strategy is as it applies, just be patient when you're switching from reversion to the mean to breakout to trending, because you don't need to be patient. The only reason I'm telling you to be patient is because often these problems are going to happen when you're not patient, when you are not actually waiting for full confirmation on the daily, because you have begun to think that maybe it's too slow. It's not too slow. It's just as fast as it needs to be to actually confirm a movement. Trending indicators are not lagging. They technically are, but they're not lagging in the sense that they suck. Leading indicators are often wrong and false because they're trying to predict the future, and that's impossible. Lagging indicators are patient and confirm a movement, which is what you want. You want to be buying into strength. You want to be selling into weakness. With that said, moving right along. So open interest rising and price moving sideways is not an optimum sign here. Again, if we can get some breakout signals here on higher time frames, we can begin looking at that. But overall, not super excited for this move to the upside. As I talked about yesterday, one of our analysts, Fibonacci, he is actually looking at the $8,300 level to actually get filled on his shorts to fade any potential movement to the upside. I am a little more conservative myself. I am potentially looking for that spike up to about 8,500, 8,550, and that's where I would potentially like to fade the movement. Any movements above that, I would actually probably be quite bullish, and that would also be right around the time where our daily systems will be triggering for a long trade right at that point in time. So waiting for price to move about 2 to 2.5% to the upside before I look to take price about 10 to 15% to the upside, and I think that's a good price to pay. Okay. So getting down into, let's look at the 12-hour time frame. 12-hour time frame is not going to be signaling along at this time. You are getting a one confirmation signal. So if you are going to take this 12-hour long, it needs to be with extremely low risk, and I actually do not recommend this. Other than that, we don't really see anything interesting. If I were to delve into a little bit of chart analytics here, or traditional trendline analysis, looking at the 12-hour time frame, this does look somewhat like a, I guess you don't really see it very clearly. I would have to exclude this. But again, I just saw these charts earlier. One can make the argument that this is a bear flag, which is, again, when you have sideways, or where you have a large movement to the downside, and then you see price kind of grind up a trend line in its lows or in its closing basis to the upside. But it's very weak. It's a very weak buyback, and often that leads to a breakdown to the downside is the bias on that. On the 4-hour time frame, again, you can really see that chop here on the 4-hour time frame. Again, 4 drives to the downside, 3 up, 3 down, 2 up. Just overall chop, but with more emphasis on this bullish breakout. Again, you always want to wait for price to close. Now, looking at the 4-hour, are we actually going to be getting a long signal at this point in time? We got the one confirmation 4-hour long signal over here, which would still have you in the 4-hour trade, but that's only a one conf trade. We are on the verge of Parallax flipping bullish and Commodity Channel Index flipping bullish as well. I'd be a little hesitant taking this breakout trade right now, to be quite honest with you. More than likely it does get faded, as we've only been in this range for about a day or two. And Bitcoin typically likes to hold these ranges out for a while, especially if we start comparing price action right now to this price action right before the large plummet down, which mining capitulation and the difficulty ribbon will actually give us some of those indications here in a little bit. But overall, the 4-hour not really signaling too much. The only thing that Wim would have gotten is a one confirmation long signal over here. Did drive down a little bit, basically a little bit below your entry, but overall you are in a little bit of profit right now. Most likely would have grabbed something on this wick with a limit order. Let's actually take a gander and see, make sure the Mike Rodrigo settings are good. Let's set our look back period back. 1, 2, 3, and 1.5. So right here on this candle. Yeah, so you would have grabbed about 50% profit already on that wick, right around the 82.07 level. Price being sold back down to about 81.64 as we currently speak. On the 2 hour, let's see here. On the 2 hour, full signal would have kept you out of all this. You did get one confirmation long signal here on the 2 hour, and that wasn't a great move. Most likely got stopped out on that trade. But it did keep you in, flipped you here, and did get you long on this 2 hour candle right here, probably grabbing some profit on this wick. And interestingly enough, that was a full signal. That was a full, on this candle right here. That was a full signal on this candle. So good on you, man. We can see Minx crossing above the baseline right there, commodity channel index above, and Wadatar explosion agreeing. Parallax is not a part of that 4-tier indicator structure right there. Parallax is generally to be used on its own, or it can be used as a replacement for those. But again, we can see Parallax on the 2 hour flipping bearish right there, giving you the sell signal, holding you out through all of this, and now giving you the long signal, with a lot of confirmation. So potentially on the 2 hour, you could be looking for the breakout trade. I'd be a little hesitant about it again, referencing the higher time frames and just looking and being cautious of this range. But again, those who want a little higher risk will be potentially looking at this setup as a breakout trade. For me, I would actually like to see price pull back, potentially establish a higher low, and then go for the breakout again. But again, I'm already in position. I've taken 50% of my profit at 82.20, and I will continue to trail. And my stop loss is going to be at break even right now, and then I will just trail that up as we continue to roll. Unless we get down to 80.84, and then potentially I'll just rinse, wash, and repeat the whole thing over again. If we get a nice drive down into the closer to the 8,000 region, and we look to kind of clear that, I'll most likely take another counter, because again, we are in a sideways period right here, and so again, pulling out volatility expander, that is really that's the bee's knees right there. So again, just buying. Let's get rid of the baseline right here, and you guys can see pretty well. Buying anything that goes below, selling anything that goes above, fading anything that goes above, buying back anything that goes below. There you go. Okay, with that being said, get to my notes here. See if I forgot anything. All right, let's take a pause and just look at the chat. See how everybody's doing right now. Hey, crypto beginner. Many blessings to you, my friend, as well. Mr. Ether says, almost missed the show today. What did I miss? Profit taking, my friend. That 10,000 contract position is now a 5,000 contract position. And let's see here, what else? Ace of Spades 26 Northwest says, Justin, I keep getting caught out lately by flash wicks hitting my stop. Are there any suggestions on how to avoid this? So I would say if this is a consistent problem, then you're setting your stop loss in the wrong area. You just need to widen your stop loss. So my initial recommendation, whenever I hear this, and I hear this quite a lot, is go to a higher time frame. Your stop is going to be wider. Don't base your stop off of price action. I think that is quite foolish. I think that price action, insofar as stop loss placement, is in a way that you can think of it. I don't actually is essentially painted to lure individuals in. So it's not that price action is painted. It's just that once price action has been painted and individuals are setting their stop losses based off price action, you're setting yourselves up for targeted areas in the market, right? So previous lows, candle closes, previous highs, those are all areas where the market's going to drive to grab liquidity because they know there's lots of liquidity there. So that's a terrible place to place stops. You're just going to have to be comfortable with probably taking a smaller position size and setting a wider stop. That's the way that's my first recommendation, because that generally solves the problem. The other one is I would recommend using something like the average true range for your stop loss placement. I think that's very, very good. Or maybe something like Bollinger Bands could be helpful as well, or ATR bands could be helpful as well. Thank you so much, Zulu Crypto Surfer. Any thoughts on Digitex futures? Not off the top of my head. I think that unfortunately, I think that Digitex futures is largely like not a great project. I know that a lot of people, it's kind of one of those like XRP army kind of things, unfortunately, where you get a lot of people just really, really rabid, and I think for the wrong cause. Again, that's something that, as always, I'm always willing to be wrong about something, but my initial impression of Digitex futures is not very positive at all. I don't think there's probably a good product or platform there. I'm not saying that they can't build one, but what I understand, I don't even remember the individual's name right now, but from what I understand, he made these promises about launching this Digitex exchange, and then he ended up not being able to do it, which is a common problem in the space. I've dealt with that my whole life, of working with individuals who promise to get a job done, but then just are unable to deliver. This just happens very, very frequently. Dunning-Kruger syndrome, whatever you like to call it. People's ability to perform is outsized relative to their thoughts of their own ability to perform. You see this a lot in trading. And what he ended up having to do is he panicked, and then he outsourced the project to a company that told him they wouldn't have it done in time, didn't have it done in time, because he was like dropped it on them and tried to throw them a bunch of money and say, give me this futures exchange. Everything I promised to my customers that I said was going to take years to build, but you got a month. Basically, could be a couple months. I don't know. I don't want to misrepresent the news. This is just my opinion. And then they didn't. And then he just kind of lambasted them in a Medium post when they turned around and lambasted it back. So the whole thing just kind of seems like a shit show to me. Obviously, it's a shit coin. It kind of had a nice pump, huge wave of positive sentiment among the space. Retail drove it up, low liquidity. Happens, great. Congratulations to anybody who made money off of it. Now, unfortunately, it's most likely in that realm of, generally trending to the downside, overall just tumbling down over time, interrupted by periods of burst, as it now just a speculative asset. Now, if there's any information that is different to that now, but as far as I understand, that's kind of where I left the Digitex futures concept and kind of scuttlebutt. So as far as the chart goes, it's a tradable chart. We'll take a look at it. All right, let's pull open. All right, it is 12:34. So what we are going to do All right, it is 12:34, and as we typically do, I do feel that with all of this kind of hesitancy in the market, look at that nice big selling pressure coming in from Bitcoin right there. Whew. Nice drive down. What was the low of that? 8,187 cents. 8,187 cents. Steep drive down. I think it's high time that we switch over to the Bitcoin weather report with junior analyst Midwest Attempts, everybody. Midwest Attempts. What do you got for us today?
Bitcoin's bullish, baby.
Eloquent in its brevity. Thank you so much, Midwest Attempts. Highly appreciate it, guys. We're going to take a super short, like 30-second break. We'll be right back, guys. We're back. Sorry about that, guys. Moving right along. Okay. So what I want to talk about right now is, it's a little early for the news, but I want to get into the tagline of today's episode. And this is going to be Bitcoin mining potentially dropping Bitcoin's price down to 4,500, according to Willy Woo, who was on Tonebase's show earlier this morning. And I'm going to talk less about that. And I'm going to talk more about Bitcoin hash rate and mining difficulty, which I've been analyzing lately to determine opportune moments to buy and hold Bitcoin. And this was really brought to my attention, and I was inspired to research this by a great article by Cole Garner on this subject, which you guys can actually read over here. I will be linking this in the description down below today. Right here. No, this is Willy Woo. Yeah, here it is right here. This is a great episode. This is actually by Charles Edwards, excuse me. Cole Garner is the individual that linked me on Twitter to this article right here. So it's a really, really interesting article. Capitulated Bitcoin miner. Well, she's doing a great job. Okay. There's also Willy Woo created Willy Woo created a very similar indicator right over here, and he has a great Medium article. This is actually on woobull.com. So introducing the difficulty ribbon, signaling the best times to buy Bitcoin. This has been talked about a whole lot lately, but not really by me. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on this, what I've kind of uncovered in my research on this. You guys can go over to TradingView and grab the hash ribbons difficulty indicator by Capriel Charles, which is, again, the same individual who wrote the article, Charles Edwards, here on Medium. Or at least they have the same Charles and at least the same tag icon, so I'm going to assume it's the same individual right there. And then also by Jack Sparrow, I believe, on TradingView. He has another indicator that has more on-chain metrics and data pulled from Quandl. So anyways, getting back into the article. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, Bitcoin difficulty is adjusted about every 2016 blocks. That's roughly every 2 weeks. And on the other hand, Bitcoin's effective hash rate is calculated daily. And that's based off the actual number of blocks that miners find each day. So you can see just based on those numbers that difficulty actually lags behind actual hash rate, by about 2 weeks. Therefore, when individuals are looking at mining difficulty as a leading indicator, it's actually a little too lagging of an indicator for miner capitulation, which is what we are looking at here is miner capitulation. And this is really brought to light by a recent article here today from CCN, which is a small miner squeeze could catapult Bitcoin to a fresh 2019 high. So these guys are actually taking a slightly bullish take on this. But what the cap line of this article might be leaving out is actually the bearish moment that occurs in between then and now, which is the actual tagline that we want to be talking about here. So in this article, they go to lay out how Bitcoin over the last few days, talk about like the last few months. Just 1 second, guys. Talk about the last few months. Okay, as I said, talk about the last few months. And a lot of this FUD is being fueled by the sudden drop in mining difficulty, as well as Bitcoin's bearish price action. I'd say a lot of individuals obviously focused on the bearish price action and not so much the sudden drop in mining difficulty, to be quite honest. But that is definitely something that I have begun to look at a little bit more closely as I've done research on this, and that I know a lot of individuals are starting to talk about as well. And again, this is Cole Gardner. This is his tweet. Miners are capitulating. The hash ribbons is on the brink of inversion, and that's news you never want to hear. Going down a little bit further with this story, the entire point here is that when hash rate falls below difficulty level, this effectively indicates that inefficient miners are getting squeezed out of mining because their operations are not profitable enough to sustain. That's why hash rate is dropping below the difficulty rate, because they're not able to keep up. This leads, unfortunately, for the market to them having generally as miners an excess supply of Bitcoin. They generally don't sell everything all at once. They're not just sitting on zero Bitcoin. They need to have capital accrued so that they can cover lean times. What this means is that when miners are being squeezed for profitability, what they're going to do is sell this excess Bitcoin, and this leads to excessive selling pressure in the market, which leads to depreciated prices, which leads to depreciated prices. This is, again, one thing that a lot of individuals have been turning to over the last few days to give a good emphasis on exactly why this bearish price action is occurring. Because of the difficulty change. Now, if mining operations are unprofitable due to their inefficiencies, Again, okay, so I just basically rehashed that. So identifying these moments of minor capitulation can be very effective buy and sell signals effectively for Bitcoin. In fact, the last time we saw minor capitulation was directly before the 2018 November plummet down to 3,500. And again, it depends on exactly what metrics you use for this, because again, we'll see in this article that they're actually arguing that it was the minor capitulation in December through February of 2000, or excuse me, in February of 2019, that actually led to the end of the bear market. And so we will talk about a couple different scenarios here. And these periods of minor capitulation, unfortunately, can last for weeks because, again, as we talked about at the beginning, it takes difficulty is only adjusted every 2016 blocks, so roughly about 2 weeks. So it takes roughly 2 weeks for difficulty to adjust to allow the system to come back to equilibrium. Now, what the creator of this technical indicator has done, which we'll go actually look at right now. So what the creator of this technical indicator has done, this is the hash ribbons indicator on TradingView, as you guys can see right here, is it takes the 1 month simple moving average of difficulty, and it plots it against the 2 month simple moving average of the hash rate. Excuse me, I have that backwards. It's the 1 month simple moving average of hash rate and the 2 month simple moving average of difficulty, and watching for crossovers and cross-unders to identify selling and buying points for Bitcoin. Now, of the 9 historical buy signals that have been generated by this indicator, so of the 9 historical buy signals for this indicator, each one, the average gain, so not each one, but the average gain from that buy signal to the next market cycle peak, so selling the top, is over 5,000%. What's more interesting is that the maximum average drawdown of this strategy is just 11%. Now, that's not to say that this method is foolproof. There is one really bad buy signal that did lead to a 42% drawdown period. That's a lot better than Bitcoin's 80 to 90% drawdown periods. But what this author recommends is applying a very simple moving average or momentum strategy, i.e. basically after you've received the buy signal from Bitcoin mining difficulty and hash rate, that you then just wait for price action to turn bullish to get bullish momentum before you actually buy back into the market. Now, so what this would lead to with current price, let's go now take a look at current price within this kind of framework. As we can see, we are getting the capitulation signal right now. We actually started getting it on yesterday's daily close, and we are getting continuation of that as we speak right now. If we actually go back and look at this indicator, we can see that the last capitulation signal that we got was actually back here on the 30th of October 2018 was where we got the first signal, and then it was a very, very, very low volatility period of Bitcoin's time, and then we saw the plummet to the downside as we saw the hashing rate fall below the difficulty level at this point in time. I've plotted this 10 and 20 simple moving average period crossover that actually the author recommends to conjunct this. I'm actually not a big fan of this. It's quite a simple strategy. It's awfully potentially the most simple strategy out there. But again, I actually don't think it negates all the periods of drawdown. But again, in conjunction with this, not too bad, because again, here is the buy signal, which actually occurs in a moving average cross under. And then if you did wait for that moving average crossover right here, you actually would have done quite well. But you would have to have a different exit system because this doesn't disavow of the chop, because you actually do get a cross under right here if you were using that for your exit signal, and then price moves to the upside. So you have to be very, very careful about something that is as sensitive a moving average crossover as the 10 and 20, because that often will pull you in a chop. So again, I always prefer the EMAs 21 and 55, the 13 and 55. I've gone over this at length. I think that's much smoother, much better, and keeps you in more pronounced trends much, much longer. But again, there's kind of arguing the details. But again, you can see the capitulation begins here on the 30th of October, lasts until the 11th of January 2019. And then you can see that is pretty much the end of the bearish cycle right there, because although we do have another little baby leg down after that, which is why, again, waiting for bullish momentum, you can see that price rip roars off to the races right here. Look at, again, and I've said this multiple times. I've drawn the confluence between this entire market structure right here and this entire market structure right here. And the only thing that remains to be seen is if this area of the market, okay, if this area of the market is this on a micro scale, and it's up to the races from here, or if this area of the market cycle is instead something more like this right? And we still have this pronounced period of sideways activity leading to a drop off. Now, it's unlikely that price directly repeats exactly what it's done in the past, but I do find this an extremely powerful indicator. So or an interesting indicator at the very least. So I recommend to go out and play with this, to test this and see if this affects your bias whatsoever. But I do want to look at an alternative scenario and an alternative strategy, which came to my head and is also kind of where the thread of this article is going, which is, a different scenario is that the miners who lead to this sell-off, that their coins get bought up fast enough that the entire cascading bear market never actually, not bear market, but really bearish cycle, bearish wave to the downside, as we saw back in November 2018, that this bearish wave doesn't ever really happen if the coins are bought back fast enough, which would lead basically to just a short squeeze. Or actually, it would really be a long squeeze in this point in time, actually. So I think they're wrong with this. It would be a bear trap, right? A big bear trap, right? A big bounce to the downside, an immediate buyback up that would then lead into a preliminary run up into the halvening due to decreased selling pressure. Because again, the bullish example here is that when hash rate falls below difficulty and miners begin selling their coins in mass because they're unable to compete, they're unable to run a profitable mining operation system, which is why they need to sell their excess Bitcoin to be able to pay electricity costs, to be able to pay their employees, to be able to pay rent, to be able to survive. These are companies and businesses, the majority of Bitcoin mining operations right now. And the small retail traders are really the ones that are going to contribute to the squeeze. But again, these are mining operations. So they do have a large amount of Bitcoin, and especially in combination, all of the inefficient miners do represent a powerful size or a powerful position in Bitcoin. Definitely enough to trigger some significant selling pressure and momentum here to the downside. So, going back to this article, of small miner capitulation often leading to strong sell-offs, this is actually the this idea that that the coins would just be bought back up faster than miners would want to sell them, i.e. leading actually to a bullish movement to the upside in a bear trap rather than a pronounced movement to the downside, is actually being echoed by OKEX executive Andy Chung. And he pointed out that there are vacuums in selling pressure caused by mining capitulation. He said in 2012 and once again in 2019, where the drop in mining difficulty actually marked the bottom of the 2018 bear market. And according to Andy, although we have seen more active sellers lately than buyers, if smaller miners are once again squeezed out, we could see a bullish flag and a reversal above $9,000 levels and potentially Bitcoin testing new highs for the year for this run up to the 2020 halvening. And this does make sense because once all squeezed miners have sold their coins, that relieves the selling pressure. And as we all know, once all active sellers have sold, there is nothing to suppress buying pressure from those who want to take price to the upside. And either way you kind of look at this, the sentiment favors the hodlers, because again, I am, again, if people just take a step back, it's very, very difficult, in my opinion, to not be overall bullish on Bitcoin, right? For example, even let's go back and look at the chart. This chart right here. Actually, let's just go with this one right here, because here we are on the daily. Even back at these price levels right here, an individual at this point in time, although it would have been savvy for them to pay attention to the capitulation signal and move out of their position and reestablish on the buy signal, they would have gotten a much more fantastic average entry into Bitcoin's price. If we look at where we are receiving that signal now, we previously received it at 6.5 thousand, and we're currently receiving it $2,000 higher at 8.5 thousand. So either way, this is, in my opinion, quite bullish in the long term, bearish in the short term, and does favor the hodler, regardless of whether an individual is going to be savvy and attempt to establish a lower average entry price based off this possible movement to the downside. And it's also possible, but it's also going to favor the individual that decides to hold their position as a long-term investment, regardless of what happens, because again, they're up a favorable percentage just from holding, even from the November 2018 drop off. So very, very difficult to not be bullish on Bitcoin at this point in time. And the other thing that's interesting here is looking at this chart from the OKEX executive here, Andy Xiong. He talks about how the mining difficulty dropped, and this was in December of 2018. And then now he's talking about how Bitcoin mining difficulty is dropping now in November of 2019. And again, as you can see, that difficulty drop did lead basically to the end of the bull market. This is the monthly chart, or this is the weekly chart. And how so potentially another way to examine this, if you're going based off of this, if you feel that this indicator is more proficient, that this would actually be potentially the bottom right now. Now, I feel that there's only 3 signals from this, once in 2012, once in 2018, and once in 2019 from this example right here. And whereas we have 9 historical buy and sell signals 9 historical sell signals from the previous indicator, from the hash ribbons indicator. So I would say that just based off of the data set alone, that the hash ribbons is a more realistic indicator. It's been right more often. Again, it has a very, very, very high hit rate. But again, that is leading to my bearish bias. This is definitely not an area where I think that sustained longs are going to actually be very successful. Would I be surprised from some volatility, moving price, to see a short squeeze, to see price move up to 8,300? I'm actually fully intending to see price up at 8,300. But it's also possible that we do get a pop up to 8.5 and 85.5, and that's 8.55. Sorry, I don't want to get anybody confused to misquote me later. So keep your eyes on that. Those are still areas where you want to be fading the market. Again, if price were to rally from here back to 9,000, that would be, and again, this sounds silly, but that would be incredibly bullish, not in a sense of, well, duh, price above, I mean, I don't think people understand like what a rally back to 9,000 would mean right now. That would be incredibly, incredibly bullish. That would, in my opinion, invalidate the volatile chop that some would expect to see. Again, as I've talked about, this is a tricky area that we're trading in, because from that same higher time frame perspective, as we've talked about before, these price levels on Bitcoin, this area between 6,000 and 9,000, again, look at where all the accumulation and consolidation occurred back in 2018, and look at where it is occurring currently here in 2019. This is, for all its volatility, 6,000 to 9,000 is the fair market value of Bitcoin. That makes this range tricky to deal with, because when price is below it, it is clearly in bearish trend. When price is above it, it is clearly in bullish trend, as we've seen historically. And so this really makes an interesting area of the market, and this is relatively new. We don't have a lot of data to back this up, but that is my current thesis as to why this area brings us so much volatility and chop. Because again, this is just what we know from market dynamics. This is an area where bears and bulls are actively disagreeing, whereas when we're in a bullish trend, there is no fight. The bulls are just trouncing the bears, and when we're in a bearish trend, there's no fight. The bears are just trouncing the bulls. With that being said, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, guys. We're going to hear from our friends over at ByBit. When we return, we're going to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything that we just covered on mining difficulty. Do you guys feel that this is bearish for Bitcoin? Do you guys feel that we are going to see this capitulation to the downside, the miner capitulation, which will push price, as Willy Woo came up and said earlier on Tone Bay's show today, down to potentially 4,500? Will you guys be establishing positions at that level, or are you establishing positions now because you feel that this drop in difficulty is actually going to be leading to increased prices? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions, as well as share mine as well. We'll be right back, guys. But first, a word from our friends over at ByBit, guys. Stay tuned. This is Jason when he first learned about Bitcoin margin trading on BitMEX.
Why? Why? Give it back! Give it back! Give it back!
This is Jason 6 months later after signing up for ByBit with the Cracking Cryptocurrency referral link found in the description below. Don't make the same mistake as Jason. Sign up today at bybit.crackingcryptocurrency.com. And we're back, guys. Thank you so much for hanging in there. As we do, let's check out the chat, guys. By the way, guys, we are eight individuals away from getting to 200 followers over there on D Live. So if you'd like to help out the channel, trying to get that push, guys, come help us out over there on D Live. You can find us at dlive.tv/cracking crypto. Really like that platform. And of course, as a shout out to my D Livians, as we do every single day. Sorry that I didn't do it before the break. Let me get the page refreshed here. Just one moment. We're going to throw some lemons in that chest. Angles and 2 others. Thank you guys so much for the follows today, my friend. Let's get a nice refresh over here on D Live. Let's stock up this chest with some lemons, guys. Okay. Why won't it let me do it? It's not letting me do it. Huh. Well, let me click on the chest. I'm clicking on the chest. It just says, I am logged in as Cracking Crypto. It's super weird. Big Saintsy with the ice cream. Thank you so much, my friend. I don't know what's wrong with the chest here on D Live today. Sean Bond, what's going on, my friend? Let's try the log out, log in. There we go. Now I can do it. The old log in, log out worked. So let's throw some lemons in that chest for the D-Livens over there. GB Wally says, now we're just waiting for YouTube and Google to come out with their version of lemons. So instead of liking and subscribing, it's throwing some goog. Like, yeah, man, throw some goog in that goog chest, my friend. Wally, thank you so much for the diamond. He says, no, Jamie. All right. Good looking out, guys. YouTube and Goog bought up all the lemons trying to corner the market. All right. Let's get back over into the live scene. Get over into my chart. We can look. We actually did not peak below the volatility. Actually, we did. Sorry, we did peak below the volatility expander right here. Did have a 15-minute close, making that a potential reversion to the mean entry right there, especially after a pretty swift rejection. Again, I ended up taking profit. As you guys can see, I did actually get pushed out of the trade. Ended up taking 50% up at 82.20. So where I actually got filled, and then my stop loss at break even was triggered. So actually out of position right now. Pretty happy with that. I'm going to remain overall. Again, as I said, my position in Bitcoin is hedged flat right now. So regardless of what I do, anything that I'm doing is going to be from a cash basis right now, which I quite like. Again, as I talked about, higher time frame perspectives. There's really not a good decision to make here. As far as longer term setups. But again, I do believe that an individual would be a little foolish right now, not being hedged, and again, potentially looking at that 8,300, 8,500 areas for fading. And again, just to give a little bit of confluence that I think I'd like to pull open, not CCEMA, but let's look at our 30-period Donchian, actually. Let's look at the 30-period Donchian to bring us a little bit closer. 30-period Donchian actually all the way up at 88.21. Again, that wick really kind of messing with us because we are taking the high and the low. So let's look at our 13-period EMA as well. 13-period EMA sitting again up at that 85.12. So giving us some nice clear guidance there on the daily time frame here for Bitcoin. So I would be a little bit wary of that move to 8,300, 85.50 for those attempting to aggressively short right now at this point in time. Again, as we can see, if we pull up VPVR, we are in a pretty interesting area of demand right here below the point of control. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to reject immediately from here. There are a couple ways to potentially look at this: breaking below the point of control, back tracing, and immediately rejecting, making this potentially a BPC setup. But of course, that all depends on what area of visible range that you are looking at. If you zoom out a little bit more, it feels like we are bouncing on the point of control. So again, VPVR, although we've gone over volume, we go over volume profile scalping in the premium group as part of our lower time frame and scalping area. We want to be wary about utilizing precise levels of VPVR. We want to again use it as guidance. Right? So we want to be wary. Again, good short signals, moving down out of areas, moving down into areas. We want to be a little cautious about that, But again, hedging, I think, is absolutely the position to be taking here and remaining flat until we get a very strong signal. I got some good stuff going on back there. Okay. Some good old googly moogly to donate. Does this mean a charity drive on DLive would be called Lemonade? Yassine says that on the weekly, we are still bullish. Actually, this week or the next one will be the make it or break it week. If we don't get that bounce, we are heading to another bear market. Now, my analysis of the weekly Now, again, we kind of talked about this before as well. Below the baseline, DCAing strategies for those attempting to establish longer-term positions. Above the baseline, this worked better with the 30-period Donchian. It's a little smoother. 30-period Donchian actually had us bearish previously. If we look at our indicators, we can actually see that. Let's take a gander here. We actually got our first sign of trend exhaustion actually at 90.51, and though we did run up quite well, again, that's just looking at Minx right here. Commodity channel index remained bullish until over here on the 23rd of September 2019. Pretty large movement to the downside. Water tower explosion also gave you that signal as well. But Parallax, again, which is on the higher time frames, potentially the best trending indicator, Parallax flipped bearish back over here on the 12th of August 2019 weekly close. So if we're looking for established bullet, and again, it flipped bullish on the 25th of February 2019 on the weekly chart for Bitcoin. So just a beautiful indicator in how it captures movement. And in here, you can actually see from February of 2019 to where we are currently right now, there is only a 1 month period where there was a little bit of chop. So just utilizing this indicator would have been absolutely fantastic. And again, if we reference that, the thing that I think is most interesting is referencing this capitulation meter right here, which again has great historical accuracy for calling these drops. Again, if we go back, I recommend you guys backtest this as well. You can throw this on your chart over on TradingView. Just search for hash ribbons by Mr. Charles over there. So with that being said, let's actually go ahead and pull open. Let's go take a look at in our quest for transparency and accountability. Here we go. Here is something that all premium members obviously have access to. These are my active, currently open trades. This is the premium live trade tracker. These are just for my trades right here. As you can see, my established positions right here, holding them open quite nicely up in P&L. As you guys can see that I did end up taking a majority of profits on my altcoin trades. It has been quite a good month for altcoin trades, as you guys can see right here. Back over to current results. Obviously, the biggest winners still remain my BCH Z19 short, my TRX Z19 short. You guys can see fresh established positions that I put on right now. POA actually running up a little bit, has come down a little bit kind of from that bullish movement for Bitcoin. Hoping to continue to see Bitcoin remain flat so we can actually continue to see these. I would say that the only position that I've put on that has not moved in my favor is going to be Theta USDT. These other positions are a little bit more long-term, and I'm comfortable with where they're actually sitting. Moving over to Alex. Alex, again, I have to give him the biggest shout out. This number is not fake. He's done a lot of great things this month. Obviously, big winners from Wabi. He actually closed out some good trades. Caught Wabi, caught VeChain right here. Still in this established short for Ethereum USD, as well as a few other positions here as well. So shout out to him, our senior analyst, Alex. And senior analyst Da Vinci is mostly remaining flat. Again, hedged on BTC and just playing these two positions right here, looking for larger profits. Da Vinci trades a little bit differently. He typically rides long trends. All right. Agency asks if I use historical volatility. I feel like I've never seen you use it. You know, to be quite honest, it's just not an indicator that I've looked very closely at as historical volatility. You know, I go over different volatility filters, so I feel that would fall into the realm of. Of a smooth volatility filter or a lagging volatility filter rather than a responsive volatility filter, which I typically prefer. Seems like something is wrong with the. It seems like it's coming back here. Let me just refresh the cache here on the current chat. There we go. Just took a few seconds to update. Mr. Ether wants 1K BTC again, please. Sorry, man. We never get what we want. Takes guts, takes courage. Interesting. So the next story that we're going to cover is Fidelity Digital Asset Services is now authorized to operate a crypto custody platform. This comes to us courtesy of Cointelegraph. Now, this is one of the world's largest asset managers, Fidelity Investments, and they announced today that they have been granted a license from the New York State Department of Financial Services, the NYDFS, to begin offering Bitcoin trading and custody services to institutional clients. Now, this move will allow the Boston-based financial giant to create and launch their own digital currency platform aimed specifically at institutional investors. And as the NYDFS has outlined in their approval, Fidelity will now be able to purchase, sell, store, and transfer Bitcoin via their Fidelity Digital Assets division. Now, Fidelity CEO Michael O'Reilly wrote in an official press statement that the NYDFS approval is a major win in terms of attracting big investors and making them more comfortable with the idea of Bitcoin investment. He says, quote, "The custody and trade execution services that we provide are essential building blocks for institutional investors' continued adoption of digital assets. The designation as a New York trust company under the supervision and examination of the DFS builds on the credibility and trust we're establishing among institutions and other market participants," end quote. Now, to date, Institutional investment has maintained a safe distance from Bitcoin with a wait and see approach to this nascent industry. Uncertainty surrounding regulation, concerns of price manipulation, and constant association made to crime, thefts, and hacks. These have obviously dogged Bitcoin's reputation as an alternative asset for years now in established spaces. But nonetheless, sentiment is clearly shifting as Bitcoin matures, now entering its teenage years. We are now seeing the genesis of institutional investment involvement in the leading cryptocurrency with big players like Fidelity, the Intercontinental Exchange, Van Eck, TD Ameritrade, and others announcing that they will be launching regulated Bitcoin trading products, while industry observers deliberating what the arrival of institutional capital into our space will do for price and adoption. Meanwhile, less risk-averse investors have already begun allocating Bitcoin and other related products to their portfolios. Endowments at Harvard and Yale University, as well as 2 Virginia-based pension plans, have recently invested large amounts in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space. And this year alone has seen a growing sentiment that economic trouble looms on the horizons, not to mention concerns over the U.S.-China trade war, those relations are dragging down the global economy and increasing civil unrest around the world. And this has brought Bitcoin into the conversation in a much more pronounced way, not to mention the rise up in price here in 2019, showcasing cryptocurrency as a non-correlated safe haven asset, despite what the naysayers may say. And so far, the NYDFS has only given 23 crypto-related firms their regulatory blessing, with the highest profile applicant this year obviously being BACT, the Intercontinental Exchange-backed digital asset exchange that is now offering Bitcoin custodial and derivative services, which we talked about at length the other day as far as the conspiracy theory or concerns that individuals that actually deposit Bitcoin at BACT would not be able to withdraw them. If you guys want more information on that, make sure to go back and check out that episode. So please let me know what your thoughts on this subject are down in the comments, actually after the video, if you're watching this later, or in the live chat right now. Love to have a further conversation about this topic. Gassan says, I will get my first $1 million from Bitcoin one day. Mark my words. Richard Hart says, going long is more profitable than short, but not if you close the short and open again and again. You know, what's interesting is that a lot of the individuals that I know, the more like the profitable traders that I know, the consistently profitable traders I know that trade with larger positions, that have large capital, over the last I'd say 18 months, their profits have largely come from shorting. So I would actively disagree with that. I would say that a lot of individuals, unfortunately, especially individuals without trading strategies, scrambled in too late into Bitcoin, bought too late into Bitcoin down here, didn't sell. You know, it's just, again, it's just one of those things where retail traders tend to get fleeced because they don't have a consistent strategy, and they base all their trades, they based all their kind of ideas, their fundamental ideas, on what the news says or what Twitter says or what, you know. Mr. Ethers thinks this is good. Starman Jack, good to see you, my friend. Peckham says, everyone can hate me for this, but the price of the euro is key. Christmas, we will be at 5,000 euro per Bitcoin. I can feel it in my bones from the technical analysis. It screams it at me. Peckham says, I am backing Boris, baby. You make more longing Bitcoin from 0 to 20K than you do shorting 20K to 0. Sorry, Peckham. Yes, the pound. Would love to see you assess my blog and show me the retail buyer is so wrong. So again, not to be specifically aimed at anybody, but we do know that overall the majority of retail individuals involved in cryptocurrency are not consistently making money, just as they are in any asset class. Now, I think that Bitcoin is kind of interesting in that, cryptocurrency is kind of interesting in that, because that's where you actually see an opportunity for retail to come in and participate, because cryptocurrency has been a space where retail investors can actually get in at the ground floor, basically at the development stage of a project, and they can fund it with their investment that they believe in, and then actually get those angel investment capital kind of returns. Wally says, I don't get it. Euro, the like button just doesn't sound as good as pound, the like button. Does not sound as good. You're right. You're right. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. Next up, guys. Oh, by the way, guys, sorry, we have live footage here. Let's actually here. Let me backtrack this. We do have live footage here, actually, of Bitcoin bulls trying to break through the bearish order block right now. Let's go live to the order block here. Oh, I thought he was going to get it that time. All right. Okay. Oh, man. When you want to dethrone global capitalism, but all you had for breakfast was a soy latte. All right, guys. And our next story today is going to be about the United States Federal Reserve. And their chairman, Jerome Powell, has officially stated that the Central Bank of the United States is now deeply considering the possibility of launching a digitalized version of the United States dollar. And this was in a response to formal request. This was in a response to a formal request from Congressman French Hill, representative from Arkansas, and Bill Foster from Illinois, to comment on the Federal Reserve's views on the development of a central bank digital currency, a CBDC. And Mr. Powell affirmed that the U.S. Central Bank is currently evaluating, quote, the costs and benefits, end quote, of using a central bank digital currency. In Powell's written letter response, he revealed the Federal Reserve officials are closely monitoring other central banks that are considering plans to launch their own CBDCs. The Fed is also scrutinizing Facebook's Libra, the most controversial crypto, if we can use that term very, very loosely, project to date, which has seen politicians and regulators alike push back vehemently on the first major corporate coin project. Now, the Libra project, despite these protests, still plans to push forward on a 2020 launch, according to their representatives. Powell says that prior to embarking on the development of an American CBDC, the Fed needs to evaluate the potential impact of such a thing on monetary policy and financial stability of the United States economy while managing possible security risks. Now, while the Fed deliberates the implications of this technology, the emerging global superpower that is China has had its central bank reportedly working on its, quote, soon to launch, end quote, digital currency electronic payment system under development for over 5 years. So America, a little behind, I'm going to say. Now, Powell's statement suggesting that the central bank is currently looking into the benefits of developing a CBDC stands in stark contrast to earlier assertions with the Fed chair denying such plans as early back as September of this year. So that's a sentiment shift in just a month. You only get that in Bitcoin. We're really, really bullish. Oh, wait, we're bearish. We're really, really bullish. No, wait, we're bearish again. Meanwhile, a number of crypto-friendly congressmen, such as Warren Davidson from Ohio, have expressed interest in tokenizing the United States dollar or similar projects to modernize the monetary system utilizing this emerging new cryptocurrency technology. Now, the question is, will the Fed be too late to the CBDC party? Or does the United States Central Bank have a trick up its sleeve? And will we potentially see the surprise rollout of our own digital dollar from Western nations over the coming years? What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comment section down below or here in the live chat. Sorry, guys. Crypto Jack says that Bitcoin could be in for some turbulence, sub $7,000 prices, and a market panic to shake out everyone, while institutions quietly fill their bags to pump for the next decade. To the moon, baby. To the moon. Jack says he's not sure if I support this type of protest. I don't think if we can accurately determine whether they are or are not racists, Mr. Agency. They were wearing masks, so. What are my thoughts on XRP? Not very positive, sir. Is this Extinction Rebellion in the UK or Yellow Vest in France? I mean, they were definitely not speaking English. Mr. Ether. Now, see, that's the question, Mr. Ether. Imagine what it would look like when it actually breaks. Solar MKD on D Live says, hey, Justin, I appreciate you and love your show. Thank you very much, man. What advice do you have for beginner traders, and can I suggest some good books? Yeah, so my advice is to spend your time building a trading system, to do the back testing work, to go through the necessary steps and have an objective strategy. Focus heavily on risk management, focus heavily on position sizing, have that all laid out. Every single morning when you wake up, before you touch your phone, before you do anything else, sit down and write a list of what you want to accomplish that day. Very similar. Before you sit down to look at the charts, have a list. Sit down and collect yourself mentally before you sit down to chart or to trade, and write down your goals. Also, it really helps to have a watch list. Like I have a watch list for discretionary trades and positions that I've been looking at. Maybe I'm looking for price to descend into a significant level of demand, or I'm in a long position and I'm waiting for price to reach a significant level of supply before I look to sell or move out. And then other coins that I'm looking at potentially establishing positions on at certain price levels that I watch and monitor every single day. Having everything planned out and then not reacting to what happens in the market in between your decision and the next time where you should be making a decision. So if you're trading the daily time frame, doesn't matter what happens in between daily candle closes, you don't trade. You trade at your designated time. You trade in your zone. It doesn't matter whether other people are making or losing money. The only thing that matters is whether you're making or losing money. So filter out a lot of the noise, stay off crypto Twitter, get out of a lot of Telegram groups, and find a good community of individuals who are serious about trading the market. I think you can find that in our Discord, but overall, just focus on your strategy and your trading, because at the end of the day, there's not going to be anybody there moving the mouse for you. They're all your decisions. And this is a market where you can do a lot of damage with a small amount of capital, as long as you manage your risk, as long as you have realistic expectations coming in, and as long as you play the long game. You're trading to trade for a lifetime. You're not trading to make money now. Focus on breaking even first. Focus on not losing money. And that is the only way that, in my opinion, that you can then begin to consistently make money. If you focus on making money, you typically just tend to lose money. Focus on not losing money, right? The challenge should be, okay, I've got $5,000. How do I have $5,000 in a month? And if you can do that, you're actually a pretty good trader. Believe it or not. Most people can't do that. Beyond that, books that I would recommend, Come Into My Trading Room is really, really good. Day Trading for a Living is really good by Dr. Alexander. Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas is fantastic. Actually, right now, if you come into the Discord, go into Trunker's Lair, who's one of our junior analysts, Trunker. He actually wrote a great article in there on his review of Dr. Alexander's book, Day Trading for a Living, and how to use that to increase your success, whatever your trading strategy is. And I think that's a fantastic article. I highly recommend you guys go check that out. And big shout out to Trunker. He's doing good things. Was that Subway Glass Anti-Fragile or Antifa Chill? I think it is. Do we have another story to go over? Let me look. No, I think that's it for today. So I think we will put on the tunes, guys. Ohio is trying to be the hub of blockchain education and let you pay taxes with crypto. That's where a lot of my family's from. So big out to them, man. Jack says, I think it's possible with China launching for real, other Western nations are suddenly going to pull out digital currencies out from Majora on the public out of nowhere. It is possible, man. What are my thoughts on Theta USDT? Again, that's the open trade that I have that is in drawdown. Let's go take a gander at it. Well, if things play out the way that they are right now, we're going to be exiting this trade at a loss. We actually did not run up and hit our first take profit on Theta, I do believe. I want to confirm my bias here, but let's be sure. 0.10284. No, I looked at this morning for my morning scan, and yeah, we didn't actually crack that level. So let's just see if we can get price to get bought back up a little bit intraday above 0.09019, then I will remain in the position. Because the only exit signal that I'm getting right now is going to be the baseline cross under. Potentially I can see that we have been in a fairly choppy area. Overall, the movement is to the upside. I don't want to place a whole lot of discretion on this. As we can see, we do get quite, in this choppy area, we do get quite a lot of baseline cross unders. So it is possible that we will just get that this will just be a trade where we end up selling at a bad area, and we actually do end up seeing a little bit of price retracement right here. Down about 4 or 5% on that position. It's a fairly low risk trade, about 0.5% of my account, down about 5%, yeah, at closing price right now. So let's just see where we're kind of at. Let's go down to the LTFs and see if we can kind of delineate anything from here. So large sell-off, again, don't buy the first bounce. Okay, secondary sell-off. We haven't really seen a selling climax, although we do see even down here on the lower time frame. Let's go down to the 2 hour and see what we see. Down on the 2 hour, we don't really see that diminishing sell pressure. We only see that really on the LTFs here. I don't really have a strong opinion about it, as opposed to any other alt position that I would be putting on. It'd be interesting to see kind of what happens, but if we do end up closing like this, then I'll just close the position. That's exactly what my strategy is intended to do, because that is a small loss. because if we look at where the position size for the stop loss was, we can actually see that that's half of the distance. So I'll actually be losing half of what I originally had intended for the trade. And when you make a consistent effort of doing that, you will see that your profits outweigh your small losses. But the trick is you have to keep your losses small, because even as we subjectively look at this and we say, well, we do get a lot of situations here where we get baseline crossliners. Well, we can see that we only actually really got one confirmed long signal. We only actually got one confirmed long signal on this, and that was yesterday. And it's just a trade that doesn't pan out. It's absolutely natural part of any trading strategy, my friend. Supernova says, hi, Justin, love your analysis. Thank you so much. Could you shed some light on how do I come up with take profit targets while trading so many different assets? It sucks sometimes exiting winning trades quite early. Very, very simple. Quadrigo ATR. It's an indicator that I've designed. The math behind it is actually very, very, very simple. It's simply looking at the average volatility of whatever any asset class is, and you can apply it to any chart, any time frame, any point in time. And it's going to give you good objective take profit strategies. I have two main profit taking strategies. One is utilizing this and scaling out my order as price rises. The other one is going to be taking a portion of profit at a predetermined level and then waiting for an exit signal. So those are really handy when I'm looking for assets that have a capacity to trend very strongly. That's also a strategy we can utilize if we're getting, you know, a fully confirmed signal. Anything that's only a 1 conf or a 2 conf trade, which I take more and more rarely, generally just waiting out for fully conf trades. I'll use lower risk, and I'll use the as the members know it, the 1, 2, 3 strategy. Cato says XRP, the forever securities. Talk about the forever stablecoin. I'm surprised the guys over on DLive have not rallied yet and ripped my face off, because I haven't opened up this chest yet, guys. What the heck? I'm getting the problem again. How weird is that? All right, let me do the log out. Let me do the login. Never had a problem like this over on DLive before. It just must be today. But anyways, let's distribute these rewards, guys. And waiting. Tree says one bad trade can wipe out 99 good ones. Tight stop losses are key. It's suspended, at least for now. This is weird. Oh, okay, there we go. Peckham27 got 21.5 lemons. Mr. Ether with 12.8. Path of Exile with 9.5. Computer with 7.7. And Laziest with 6.6. Thank you guys so much for the support. Very humbled to have all you guys come watch every single day. Really appreciate it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. You got me, agency. Guilty of the socialism. I guess I forgot that key factor where I'm able to be in control of choosing when to distribute funds and being told when to distribute funds. Mr. Ether says, my goal is to be a billionaire. So frickin' bad. A J-Mag says, how do I add a payment to a super chat? I think you just click the button. A little cash icon down there, my friend. Thank you so much, Trees. Tree says, that's what I'm here for. You guys rock. Great advice, bro. Any new traders who found this channel off the bat are lucky to have found such an honest crypto talk show. Thank you, man. Thank you. Mr. Ether says, how can we make it legal to give you our money and let you trade it? Market wizards. Mr. Ether says, going from USD to XRP is like getting an FMT. I'll buy XRP at $5. I probably will. I'll buy the top, my friend. Thoughts on Litecoin? I'm actually bullish on Litecoin. But you have to understand my setup on Litecoin. My setup on Litecoin is to accumulate this range right here and hold for significantly higher prices. Insofar as an active trade, one could have taken a one comp short trade here. You could actually still have that position open. Parallax actually flipped bearish here, letting you know to hedge up or let your Litecoins go. You could ride that out a little bit as well. I feel like something just happened. Mr. Ether coming down with a $2 super chat, my friend. Thank you so much. I don't actually see your message right now. Let me scroll down. Oh, he said it's easy. Do I get anything for opening up the chest? No. No, I do not. Other people do, though. Yeah. Basically, I guess the way that I do it is because I put lemons in that chest. When people donate to the stream, portions of their donations go into the chest, and then I just take generally what people donate to me and stick that in the chest. Probably actually a little bit more because I stick 50 in there every day. Yeah, and when people are active, that chest fills up as well. And then I distribute those rewards to viewers. That's a great conclusion, Mr. Ether. It's hard. It's hard says it's hard. It is, my friend. Excuse me. All right. Tony Rumble, thanks so much for the host, my friend. Let's go over to Zen BTC. So I drew out my area of interest down right here. 59.64, 54.93. Now, one could argue that we came close enough for people to establish positions. Anybody that kind of bought this one could have taken advantage of a short-term flip right there. Overall, we're still bearish on Zen. We have had a trend flip. So nice bullish expansion on the upside, caught a nice trend. Price pulled back. Actually, probably, well, again, any entry, let's take a look here and see. Yeah, PTP long signal right here on this candle right here. All indicators confirming. That's 4 of 4. And run up from there of about 35%. So beautiful trade. Looking for the same thing. I need to see price above 66.17 right now. Overall, my area of interest is going to be down here. I am still bullish on alt BTC pairs though, however, so factor that into your analysis however you like. Always wait for a clean objective signal, but also know when not to skip looking at markets that are interesting. I think a lot of people that are skipping out on looking at altcoins right now are missing out. Thank you, Rubix. Sorry I wasn't a little bit more helpful there, but I just don't see a trade setup. There's no signal. All right, guys, make sure I... Yeah, 8 minutes left in the stream, guys. Anything you want to ask it now. Because I won't be back for 22 hours. What did I want to... Oh, by the way, guys, I want to thank everybody that signed up for the team over here on ByBit. You guys can sign up for yourselves at bybitbrawl.crackingcryptocurrency.com. You can also just go to the main page and go to their, from the ByBit page, you can go to register now and join now. And we are right here on the front page. Let's click join team. And there you go. So thanks so much to everybody that signed up for the team. Really, really excited to get this competition started off. It's going to be a good time. Caprica says, "Will I be looking at stocks and indices on the channel in the future?" Yeah, I've looked at stocks and indices a lot. In fact, with the kind of changes in stock markets, lately, Robinhood was kind of killing the game. That's where I did my stuff, was on Robinhood. But lately, we're seeing companies like Charles Schwab remove trading fees entirely. So I'm actually really, really, really excited to start trading stocks again. Now that I feel, especially, just, where we're at, where we're growing as a team, I feel that obviously the same methods apply, perhaps even a little bit more nuancedly, not nuancedly, TM that word. I created that word just now. But they work just as well on FX markets with a little bit of discretion on FX markets and stock markets. Perhaps, stock charts maybe being the easiest to trade. Did I ever speak about the ADA incentivized testnet? No, I did not. Starman Jack says, how do I set up my chart with the time buttons across the top? You click this little drop down here, and then you can star your favorite time zone, your favorite time frames right here, as well as create custom ones. If that feature is not there, then TradingView has been doing things lately where they, require you to have a greater account for access to stuff. So I actually can't speak on that. But I guess the answer is, if you see anything on TradingView on my screen that you don't have on your screen, and if you go to the buttons that I tell you to click to get it, I was walking, somebody through setting up TradingView yesterday. Then the answer is TradingView is like, yeah, give us more money or we're not going to let you have that. Sorry, guys. Black Friday is coming up very, very soon. So good opportunity to stock up on a Kraken cryptocurrency premium membership and a TradingView membership. I do think it's worth it, because there's nothing funner than staring at the 1 second chart. Look at that. Look at that movement. We could have been rich. Hmm. So BitMEX Trade says we have averaged 400 to 600 point drops on these green spike wicks since the beginning of November. What do I think? So that would potentially be putting us down to 7,800. Next level of VPR supports at 7,700. That doesn't sound insane to me. You know, obviously, just as I've kind of reiterated throughout the show, the trend is bearish. So the highest statistical setup is to fade any correction, to fade any rally, is to fade that movement, just as is always the case when the overall trend is bearish. And it doesn't surprise me that after liquidity grabs to the upside in a bearish trend, the price continues to move down. So, and with Bitcoin moving on high volatility, that it moves down on high volatility. As far as an immediate breakdown from current levels, I think that's less likely than a movement up to test 8,300, potentially 8.5. But I'm hedged and flat. So, you know, I would not be surprised to see that movement to the downside as well. You know, intraday, what would I be watching to see that? Well, let's see here. You know, daily would already technically have you in a short. This was the out and then continuation on here. We haven't hit any daily targets right now. And again, we're putting in these dojis, which typically does lead to a pop to the upside. On the 4 hour, you could be waiting for trend continuation because we are above the baseline on the 4 hour right now. And the 2 hour is going to be giving you maybe some continuation here in 4 or 6 hours. So be watching for that if you are looking for that high volatility breakdown right now. Justin, wouldn't percent of ROI on the spreadsheets be more of an average of each trade percent as opposed to an addition aggregation? So what we do is, and you guys can see all this at results.crackingcryptocurrency.com, we add up the P&L of each individual trade because whatever your position size is, you made or lost that percentage of actual, ROI. And then we calculate not only our BTC denominated P&L, but our USD P&L and release that publicly for everybody at the end of the month. So, you know, again, I think that anybody who just does that first layer of what we do, they're misleading individuals. But what we do in our quest for transparency is we average everything out denominated in BTC and denominated in USD. Then we release that. You guys can see all that at results.crackingcryptocurrency.com. I think we're pretty much the only trading group on the internet that actually releases their objective results at the end of every single month, and not just what you see elsewhere. We dollar denominate, we average out. You guys can go and see all of our entries, and then not only that, all the premium members have access to the same indicators. They can just go back and say, does this make sense? We don't do that. Oh, we're setting some buys at X and X and we might get filled there, we might not, blah blah blah, and then report the trade. No, we don't do any of that. Sheets live updated, it's pushed out to all the premium members, and trust me, every person that's in our group, the second there's a typo on that live trade tracking sheet, I am flooded with DMs because people are using that to gauge their sentiment. And so if I make a typo, I am flooded with about 20 DMs asking me to update the sheet immediately. So, all right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Again, I'm your host, Justin Wise. Hopefully you guys go on to have a fantastic day. If you guys want to support what we're doing here, make sure to like the video. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment down below for the YouTube algorithm, as they are vicious overlords. If you guys are watching on DLive or Twitch, make sure to follow or give us a subscription. If you guys want to keep up with us after the show, of course, hop in the Discord at discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Go follow us over on Twitter at tw.crackingcryptocurrency.com. And of course, we're all over the place on TradingView TV.crackingcryptocurrency.com. We got a lot of acronyms, a lot of antonyms, guys, for you guys to break down. Listen, we've got the particle video, the interview with Cap Amarasinghe. the UK ambassador to Particle, up on the YouTube channel. Make sure to go check that out after today's show if you're looking for something to do. It's a fantastic interview, great opportunity to sit down with individuals truly innovating and developing in the space. The ByBit tutorial part 1 is up. So for those individuals who are making comments in the chat about wanting to learn to do leverage trading, that first tutorial video is up. Make sure to go check that out. It's got a knowledge of information in there. I really want to thank Jack for getting that up and uploaded. He did a fantastic job. We won't be here Friday and Monday. Please remember that. Note that on your calendars, because I know people do base their time around the show, which is really, really, I can't believe that. It blows me away that I know that people do that. We won't be here Friday, but you guys are going to have a treat in the form of a pre-recorded video coming up for our regularly scheduled time slot at noon Central Standard Time on Friday. You guys are going to love that video. I had a lot of fun putting it together. And it's really, really important to watch as well for those who do want to take their privacy and security seriously when it comes to Bitcoin. Make sure to check out this evening's Breaking Bitcoin Bits at 6 p.m. Yes, we've got a lot going on all the time. And if you guys are interested in trading with us, using our tools and following our rules and learning to build your own technical strategy, please check out the link above you or down in the description, premium.krakencryptocurrency.com, to trade with our team. Otherwise, guys, I will be here tomorrow. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, or death threats, leave them in the comments section down below on YouTube, and trade safely, guys. Be good.